Welcome to the Informed and Oblivious podcast, episode 17. I am Black Pilled Phil, and this is Sleeping Pill Raymond.
Have you done Black Pilled Phil before?
I think I have.
All right,
We're going. I know we're going black pilled again anyway because we're like doubling. We're going to be doubling up on topics quite often because my ebbs and flows around things happen based off of the content that I take in a given week. So I have a lot of things bouncing around, and one episode isn't always enough to go over the ideas in my head sometimes.
Get less ideas.
I wish that was possible. When people talk about lobotomies, I'm like, that was a horrible medical practice. And then other days, I'm like, you know what? It would be nice if my brain never had thoughts again. And I'm not advocating for that at all. But I'm like, you know what? When you find out that some people just don't have constant thoughts in their head, you're just like, that must be the nicest fucking thing ever.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. You ever done the thing where you ask people, do they have the inner monologue? And there's people that just say no. And you're like, there's no inner voice in your head? No. That must be the greatest existence of all time. You're literally running on autopilot everywhere. I can't imagine that. It's like when you talk to blind people and they're like, is it all darkness all the time? They're like, no, it's like trying to see out of your elbow. The sensor just doesn't exist. So it's not like it's black, because seeing black is something that we see when we close our eyes as a byproduct of that. If you just don't have it, it just doesn't exist. And trying to comprehend that to me is like trying to comprehend living your life in the world without inner thought. I don't understand that at all, but it must be the most peaceful existence ever.
And then there are blind people who have lost their sight or have limited vision. That's different. But.
Yeah. No, what? I'm not talking about being blind is the most peaceful existence ever. I'm talking about no thoughts.
No. I'm just saying because the seeing through your elbow bit. It's different for them.
Yeah, and the people that don't appreciate that, if you are one of those people without an inner monologue or any kind of inner thought going on, let me tell you that people spend decades of their life trying to meditate to a state to achieve what you just have naturally. So bravo, you were born with a superpower. You just have nothing going on up there, and it's amazing. It's got to be.
I only get that when I have anime. If I have TV or something and just can go full vegetative state for a couple hours, I can get there.
I can't get it. Even when I'm watching stuff, my brain's thinking thoughts. That's why sometimes when I'm listening to podcasts or other things like that, I got to play it back several times because I'm just like, oh shit, I wasn't paying attention to that at all.
I do that when I'm reading sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll get to a page and I'm like, wait, I just read 4 pages and did not take in any of it.
Yeah.
I have to go back and reread, which I don't know. I can understand how I do that when I'm watching TV, do the same thing. Oh shit, I got to skip back a few minutes because I wasn't paying attention. But how do I do that when I'm reading? Reading is an active thing. I had to look through and interpret those words into my brain, and a couple pages in, it's just gone.
You're not interested in it. That's why I didn't read very many books as a kid. Not because I didn't like to read. It's because I didn't like to read things that don't interest me.
Nah, even books that I like.
Yeah?
Books that I'm enjoying, yeah. Just oh shit, what just happened in that chapter? I got to go back and reread it.
It's an ADHD thing.
It's definitely an ADHD thing.
Yeah. For me, with the reading, it's very hard to do that unless, again, I'm not interested in it. But I also have different vocalizations in my head for the different voices.
Well, yeah.
Fun. Yeah, but not everybody does that either. Especially if you don't have an inner monologue. They just comprehend the words. And I'm like, so there's nothing, it's not a play in your head going on? No. I'm like, that's so weird.
If you watch a movie based on a book and then read the next book or reread the book, do your images and voices in your head switch to the actors?
Only if I saw the movie before reading the book. If I read any of the books before seeing the movie, it will never do that. I'll never have the actors or their voices in my mind when reading the book.
Your mind get overwritten. Yeah.
Yeah, no. For me, and that's why why I annoyed with a lot of movie adaptations of book because it doesn't match up.
Yeah. Well, it'll bother me at first, but then when I go back to it later,
yeah,
the visual element of it overrides it in my brain. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't have that at all. For me, it's whatever the characters are in my head is what they are. It really annoys me though when they do film adaptations of books and they change the way that the characters like look. And I'm like, please don't do that. Like it's an established character. Leave it as it is.
Yeah.
I get it. The person's probably a great actor, but that like ruins like book adaptations for me like even more.
I don't mind it so much when descriptions are fairly vague or if it's just like one aspect, but like when they go into like hyper detail on describing a character and then it's just completely fucking different.
Yeah, like that's like the his Dark Materials series, or as other people might know it, the Golden Compass series. They did the HBO adaptation of it, which was like really good and like really accurate to the books. But they kind of like race swapped a few characters, and I was just like, ugh, God damn it, just like leave the characters how they are, because the world that thing encompasses is so diverse. And some of the characters are so vague that you could just put whoever you want for those characters. Don't do it to the main characters that are described. Leave them as they are.
Yeah.
Like, and it sucked because I'm like, man, I really like that they're staying true, but I'm kind of like taken out of it now because I know this is not how the characters are. And I was just like, ugh. But still way better than that horrible movie that they made. The movie adaptation of it was so bad.
Well, I never read the book, so like I didn't mind it as much, but
well, the HBO show is much better. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched that too. Yeah, it was better than the movie for sure.
Yes, because you could go into the details and the nuance of like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets a little weird towards the third book, and I never finished everything through. Did they finish the series completely?
I don't recall.
You would know because it would stand out very weird because you would get to the third book where they have these elephant creatures that go run on giant like acorns. It's fucking
Doesn't
wild.
Sound familiar?
Yeah. I don't think they made it past the subtle knife. I don't think they made it to the actual like the amber spyglass.
Yeah, I remember the subtle knife bit. The guy got the knife and he was like cutting through worlds and shit.
Yes, yeah. So after the subtle knife, the third book is the amber spyglass, and that one gets a little fucking weird because it gets they go into a planet. Well, the one professor does or whatever gets to a planet where all the creatures there, the sentient creatures there, get around by traveling on these giant fucking like basically acorns. They're not really acorns, but they fall from the giant trees there. And they use them to get around because of like their anatomy. They just like pedal themselves on the fucking acorns. Yeah. So it's fucking wild. So that's where they end up like eventually, and that's where like it goes more into like the whole dust, which was the thing of like the whole.
You know what? Maybe
series.
That does sound familiar. I'll have to look. We'll have to look it up later and see if they got there because like it's like giant trees, right? And then like the dust is like sucking the life out of the trees, or vice versa, or something like that.
No, the trees require the dust to grow properly.
Yeah, okay, so they did get to that. Yeah, I don't remember the acorn bit.
Yeah, maybe they replaced them with something else because they were like, the talking bear thing we could get away with. This is probably a little too weird for most people.
I do recall like their locomotion being odd in some way, but I don't remember how.
Yeah. Did they get to the point where they killed God?
Don't recall.
Yeah, that one was fucking weird too.
Yeah. My memory's terrible, and I watched that a while ago.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this series. I love this series. It was a great series. It's a fucking sad ending as a kid where they get like split up at the end, but it's the way that has to be. They have to seal all because the subtle knife, and spoilers for anybody out there who's never fucking read the books or seen the TV show. I highly recommend at least the books. But so to heal the worlds and everything, they have to seal all the
all the rifts.
Yeah, the rifts done by the subtle knife, including like they had that. Well, if they got to the amber spyglass part, they probably had the weird part where they went into like the afterlife / like hell ish thing, right?
Again, don't remember. They went to like that deserty type place where all the adults were gone. Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe. I don't know what their interpretation of it would have been, but it should have been like underground. They basically found the world of death and your demons can't go there, so they had to like that's where they split from their demons. And
they were in a place where their demons couldn't go.
Yeah. That's where death is. So basically, the plot of it is you can only have one and not cause irreparable damage to like all of existence. You can only have one of those portals open from the subtle knife. And so rather than be together, what they did was they cut one of those portals into the death world, where what that will allow is then you go out into the ether and you can like rejoin all of existence and like become like the dust shit again and like like reborn. And so it's a weird kind of heady thing. But basically, so like in order for that to happen, they can only have one portal open. So they sacrifice being together in order that everybody's existence ends peacefully.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a real nice thing, but yeah, it's a sad story because they get separated at the end. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, so he eventually teaches because he breaks the knife, and then he teaches all the angels how to shut the windows, because the angels can pass freely between the worlds.
Okay. I don't remember if they did that shit or not.
I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot going on.
My memory of the show is very vague.
I liked it. The book series was really good, and it's not that tough of a read, unlike The Lord of the Rings.
Well, it was a young adult's book, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But technically, so is The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And that is a very different read. I'd like the Lord of the Rings books, but my God. Yeah, and then when people are like, you should read Game of Thrones, I was like, I could never do it. Like, the TV shows were great. If he ever finishes the book series, maybe I'll get the cliff notes as to like how it's supposed to really end. But like, they're like, yeah, he spends like 5 pages describing
a room.
Yeah, I'm like, nah,
it's crazy.
I couldn't do that. Like, I appreciate the attention to detail, and maybe if you're a less imaginative person, it would be like really good. But for me, I'm like, just give me like, a little bit of the canvas, and I'll fill in the rest.
No, yeah, you wouldn't hyper detail on someone. You'd flip a couple pages. Nope, still describing it. Flip a couple more, and there we go. Important shit. Okay, keep reading.
Yeah, and then the other series I really liked as a kid, but and that was very similar to like the Dark Material series, was the Pendragon series. I don't know if you ever read that.
Nope.
Yeah, that was a good book series. I think it was like 10 books in total. Traveling between different worlds and solving problems, and like then like going back to his world. They were travelers that were fixing things.
Gotcha.
That would be a really cool like TV series if they ever like made that into a TV series. And I would love to see them do more of the Wrinkle in Time stuff. But again, that's another one where they made that movie adaptation, and people were like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Because the Wrinkle in Time series is a very heady series too.
What was the Wrinkle in Time?
That's the one where the kids are trying to find their parents that got like they just disappeared, and then they have those otherworldly creatures trying to help them find their parents, because apparently their parents were doing some weird shit where they could travel between like worlds and time and shit like that. And then like the second book series, the twins of the kids end up going back into the past to the time of Noah and Noah's Ark. And they're like there and involved with the Nephilim and weird shit like that.
I can't remember if I saw that fucking movie or not. I don't remember it.
No, not as a movie. The book was that. The movie had I want to say either Oprah or Whoopi Goldberg in it. Like if you look up like the thing for the Wrinkle in Time like movie, you might remember it a little bit. But it's or maybe they made it a TV series. Maybe it was like a 3-part TV series. Well, no, it was a film. That was in 2018?
Wrinkle, yeah.
Dude, that felt like that was so much longer ago. Scroll down in the cast. Yeah, Oprah was in it.
Yeah.
Knew it was Oprah in there.
This is ringing absolutely zero bells for my brain.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a very weird book series. It's very, very heady. There's a lot going on. It's kind of like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type shit, where it's just like, it's like pseudo-Christianity, pseudo-not. Like, it's got very weird things going on.
Yeah, I definitely did not watch this. Oh.
I watched it, but it's a very like weird thing to like make into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
This kind of thing where you at the very least need like a series to give time to explain shit. Yeah.
That's where I think HBO does a good job. If it's like a book series like that, they do a much better job of like adapting it to like a movie kind of like theme, but be able to explain it enough over a series. Like the Lord of the Rings movies did a really great job, but I would have loved it if HBO partnered with like Peter Jackson and was like, let's make a Lord of the Rings series, not the shitty one that Amazon did, not the prequel, but like remake the movies as like an actual like series, like a la Game of Thrones, going all the way through the whole timeline, from The Hobbit all the way through. Maybe not the Silmarillion. Keep that, we keep that over there. That's for the really heady canon-y guys. Like we don't need to add in all that shit in the song that formed the world and all. Like that might be a little bit much. People might get a little like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, the Silmarillion is basically just an encyclopedia, right?
Kind of. It does give like a lot of like history to what happened in Middle Earth and the founding and like what everything was before and the Undying. Like there's a whole shit ton of information and lore about the actual like.
Have you read it?
No, but I've watched videos on it. I will not fucking read it. No, dude. The books were a tough enough read. Now imagine the headcanon notes of those books, and that's basically what the Silmarillions is. Like, nah, I couldn't. Like, no, I watched people's video breakdowns on that. And speaking of video breakdowns, we were going to do this a little bit later than we normally would. But again, as always, folks, if you like what we do, like,
subscribe, leave a comment.
Yeah, follow. And you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble. Now, what I really wanted to talk about today, before we got distracted on books, I want to talk about society and societal collapse again. Because I've been watching more stuff again this week, and I'm really concerned that probably within the next 30 years, we're all going to fucking collapse as a society in the West.
That'll be fun.
Maybe. Depends on what replaces it. But we're hitting like the end stages of enlightened society that like because I was watching a guy talk about like we think we're the first people to get to this stage because technology's gotten to the point where we're very, very comfortable. But previous societies have gotten to this stage in their existence and their decadence, and then they fell apart. Mm-hmm. Very similar. Everybody goes to it because it's the most recent one that we can think of, and there was large empires, but technically the Mongolians went through it too. Was like the fall of the Roman Empire. Yeah. Where they got so like large and decadent, and they started doing like weird things like we're doing now, which they became to a point and a level of comfort that they became obsessed with sexuality. Like it seems to be like a weird thing that happens in cultures that like once you get to a certain point of advancement where like your needs are met and there's not much of a daily struggle. Like of course they were still running the military campaigns, but the average citizens inside of Rome were living such comfortable lives that they were like, you know what I should really obsess about right now? Who the people I know like to bang. And they get into this like weird philosophical thing where they start like exploring the bounds of that stuff. And like I'm not going to speak on the trans stuff one way or another. I don't really care. People have their own thoughts on it. I don't really want to get into debate on that. But Rome had their own version of that too back then. So it seems that like we hit a certain level of society where all of a sudden we go from like the shit that built that society to focusing on weird shit, and then the society collapses apart. So there might be like a next level, higher level society, that utopia that everybody strives for. But for some reason, as we get to that climb, we lose the plot and the bottom falls out. Because we start throwing out and abandoning the structures that got us to that point. And for whatever reason, that seems to completely break the system. And in principle, it seems good, right? Like it seems like, okay, let bygones be bygones. You do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. As long as I'm not hurting anybody, what does it matter? Well, it turns out that culturally it matters a lot. And if the social cohesions and pressures fall apart, it's like that whole foundation is what makes society push forward, push up, and keep going into the next bounds. And if you just say, fuck it, we're going to throw out the rules entirely, it seems like maybe you would need technology at the level of like Star Trek with the replicators, where you can just like instantly make food, instantly, like basically scarcity needs to be gone entirely. And then maybe you could go into a society that's more focused on the self and what each individual does. But until you get to that point, it seems like as soon as everybody goes, well, I'm going to do everything for me, everything just falls apart because nobody has any skin in the game anymore. They're like, I don't give a fuck about you or what's going on or your neighbors or shit like that. And I would say that was a first sign of the fact that we were headed towards bad times, is that people stopped even interacting with their neighbors. Like even living here, I don't really fucking know anybody on the street. Like I know them loosely, but I'm not going over there and having conversations with them and shit like that. And I know some people still do that, but the majority of people don't. They have zero interactions with the people around them in close proximity. And culturally, we're all separated. And now, like, you know, if you do something bad, all you do is go online and complain. And then you have a bunch of people validating you for the fact that, like, no, they're just wrong. They're a bunch of assholes.
What if they are a bunch of assholes?
I mean, maybe. but I don't know. I'm just concerned, especially with the population decline, because we are now having people being replaced with AI at a lot of these tech companies first, which is actually kind of fucking hilarious because they basically developed the tools that replace them.
Yep, that sucks.
But I think a lot of that is gearing up towards, and why they're pushing it so heavily is because they know that there's not going to be a workforce coming up. So if we could replace the stuff that doesn't need to be done by a person with AI, we're going to do it now so that in the future, when you start like moving up in the world, you won't even entertain going to school for those things because you're like, oh, a robot does it. Why would I learn how to do it? So that'll funnel people into like the things that we actually need physical bodies in front of for a workforce for the future, so we don't fucking collapse that way. A la the Children of Men book series, going back to book again. Did you ever read that book series or watch the movie?
Negative.
Well, that's the one where for whatever reason, humanity became sterile. And so, like, once it got to the point where the last generation of children grew into adulthood, like, things started getting really weird, and then they just started basically rioting because they're like, well, you're all going to fucking die, and then we're going to be left here, what? To be the ones to get fucked by the fact that we're, like, here growing old and there's no one there to take care of us? And, like, one person has, like, one more kid, and then, like, there's hope that, like, maybe humanity will continue. I don't know. It's a weird fucking thing. But basically... it's more of a critique of what happens when you get to population collapse. Because even though, like, you know, the whole sterility thing doesn't usually happen, when you get too top heavy in a society, eventually you do reach that point. You just collapse until the point where you stabilize again. And in that meantime, it's very fucking brutal because you don't have enough food to feed people. You don't have enough resources for people to go around either, because society's built to a certain size and scale. You'd need that to maintain. It's kind of like when you get to a certain level of income and then you start spending to that income level. If you take a pay cut, you're going to fucking lose a lot of shit, you know? You'll be like, well, fuck, I guess my car's getting repoed now because I can't afford to pay it anymore. So seeing that, the other scary thing that people don't talk a lot about, which is also headed towards a dark place, and I know people don't really care because it's like it's a male issue, but the male non-participation in the workforce has doubled since the 90s. So it used to hover around, I think, 7%. It's now about like 15%. And this isn't unemployed. This is people that just, they said, fuck it, we're not doing it. They're not looking for work anymore because people don't understand, like, unemployment at 4% It only counts people that are actively looking for jobs. If you stop
People who
looking,
are on unemployment looking. Yeah.
well, not even on unemployment. Like you could report yourself as unemployed and looking. Like you might not be on unemployed. You might have quit your job, so you're not employed, but you're still looking for a job. They count that. But after a year, if you're not looking for a job, they remove you from the statistics. And there's a separate statistic that counts that, and that's where it is about. I think it's like 15%, something like that, of young men, and young men is the 25 to 50 age category. So like the prime age men, about 15% of them are just like, yeah, we're not working anymore. And this is bad.
How does that work?
They just don't do it. They're either homeless, they're living with family, or they're living off of government subsidies. They're just not doing it. And because of that, it's very bad because one, historically, fucking men that become hopeless create problems in society. Because eventually, like if you remove hope from them, and they're frustrated and they can't get work, they can't get girlfriends, they can't get the things that you would want in a basic functioning society, they start uprisings. Historically, that's why that's why they came down on the whole like Andrew Tate thing pretty fucking hard. Besides his whole scumbag shit, but when he started riling up like young men that were like, yeah, I'm tired of getting fucked over by the system, they're like, we need to shut this guy down. Like immediately, because that's how you start getting rebellions in your country, is you get a bunch of young men riled up and they say, fuck it, I got nothing left to lose anyway, let's go and fucking do this.
What happened? I know who he is, but I don't know what you're talking about.
So like Andrew Tate, when he like started getting prominence of like, you know, basically being like what feminist leaders are for women, but for men, like basically doing that, and he came to prominence, they started deplatforming him everywhere. And then suddenly like all the stuff that he did back in the day, which may or may not have been legal, I don't know. Yeah, I think he got sentenced for one thing, then he got overturned, and then they're trying to get him for another thing now. I don't know, but all of a sudden they dug up like all this like history on him to like get him fucking because he was an MMA fighter too. So besides like all his like weird millions things, he was doing MMA fighting, and they did to him like the same thing they did to like Alex Jones when he got too prominent. And they were like, okay, well, now we're going to sue you over the fucking Sandy Hook shit, and you owe us the equivalent of the GDP of France. Like, they legitimately wanted him to pay, I think not $1 trillion. It was some billions of dollars, not Tate, Alex Jones. And he's like, I can't pay that. I don't have that money. Like, I don't know what the fuck you think I'm worth, but I'm not worth that kind of money. And they keep going after him for things too, because it's the same kind of thing. Like anytime there's a disturbance in society that puts pressure on society, they go after them heavily, because you don't want disruptors in your society, no matter what you're doing. The fuck was that? I think he just like snorted over there or something. But yeah, so we're getting a bigger population of that. The younger generation is having even less kids, and their kids are having less relationships, less sex, less all of these things than the previous generation. And all of this is like heading towards if there's not a course correction, we are just going to become a dead society. And it's not just us, it's all the Western countries. And that's why there's been a lot of mass immigration into these countries, because if your populace isn't having kids, you got to get the fucking workforce from somewhere else. And the demographics on that start to shift massively. And I hate it because you talk about Western societies, and the Western societies are predominantly white. And again, I hate talking about the stuff because it's a shift in demographics in a country. And if you talked about it in any other population in the world, nobody would bat an eye. They'd be like, oh, yeah, the demographics here are changing. You do it in the West, they're like, oh, it's a racist thing to say that, like, the demographics in these countries are changing. It's not. It's just a fact. It is what it is. They're changing dramatically. And what that'll mean in the future, who knows? Because the real issue is not race. It's assimilation into a culture. Like, come on, like a prime example of that is everybody knows and loves Idris Elba. If you met Idris Elba, would you say he's not English? Of course you fucking wouldn't. The guy is English as fuck. But if you had somebody from here that moved over there to England and talked with a fucking Texas accent and like, yeah, I'm English, you'd be like, no, the fuck you aren't. You might live in England, but you are not English. Like, what are you talking about? You're over there eating American breakfast still. And you don't eat beans on toast. Like, you ain't fucking English. Like, because that's the thing. Like, countries aren't necessarily the race that occupies them. They're the culture that makes them up. That's what makes these countries is the unifying cultures. That's why we had such problems in the Middle East, because we went in there, the Europeans went in there and did the same imperial shit that they did in Africa. And when they pulled out, they drew country lines. And they're like, this is this country, this is that country. And they completely ignored the different cultures in the region. So they like put Sunnis and Shiites together, the different sects of Muslims that fought. They fucking drew boundary lines across like people that historically fought each other in war. And like, yeah, this is their land now, this is your land. And they're like, no, the fuck it's not. And then they put them all under governance, and that's why there's a lot of issues over there, because the country lines weren't drawn by the people themselves; they were drawn by the people that conquered them and then left. That's what, even like here in the United States, like our different states are like different countries in a way, and that's why like a lot of them, until you get further west, where it's just like fuck it, we're drawing straight lines. A lot of them have weird boundaries because they were across like cultural things, different like land things that were necessary for the state. Like, oh, hey, we use the resources over here, so this is part of our state now. Like, that's why a lot of the states on the East Coast don't make sense either, because, like, again, they used to be different colonies from different countries too. But, you know, again, culturally very similar. Like, you know, you meet somebody somewhere else in the U.S. that was like from New Jersey, you'll mesh with them in a certain way. You're like, oh yeah, we have a shared like history and culture from the area. You know, just like if I met somebody from like Oklahoma, like, yeah, we're in the U.S. and we have that, but we'd be so vastly different. I'd be like, tell me more about like what's going on down there. Like they learn about like the Sooner Boomers, which is because I met somebody, this is why I bring it up. I met somebody from Oklahoma. They told me about it, and we didn't learn that in fucking history. Did you learn about the Sooner Boomers down there in fucking Oklahoma? Because I didn't. I don't know if you know.
I have no idea what words you even just said to me.
So, I think it's, what is it? Oklahoma State down there. Their mascot is the Sooner Boomers. And that's a reference to back in the day when the Oklahoma Territory was founded. They had a land grab, and what they did was like the government said, okay, you're going to go out and stake land territory, and whoever gets to the land first and stakes the ground, that's who owns the land. That's how we're going to divvy up the land plots. So the Sooner Boomers went and they tricked the Native Americans there at the time, and they headed out ahead of when they were supposed to and staked all the ground ahead of them. And they're like, well, this is our land. And because this was before like video and shit like that, they couldn't prove otherwise that they went out there early. They just got out there and like, what the fuck? All this shit's staked already. Like, did they beat us here? And they did, but they didn't. So like they teach them about that out there because it's part of the history of their state.
I had no idea.
Yeah, just like we get taught about New Jersey, PA, New York history. Like we get taught about a lot more of like the early American history in detail because we're part of it. And then like as you get further out, like, yeah, we get taught about those territories being formed, but we don't go into in-depth detail about all the territories. We're just like, hey, that state's there now. You know, but those states learn different things. So like the important part is not the demographic makeup of any particular country, but the culture of it. And there's people that are like, again, American through and through, that maybe they weren't even necessarily born here. They moved here and assimilated, and they're more diehard American than most Americans are. There's a lot of immigrants that come here that know more about our fucking history and how our government works than most citizens do. So the demographic shifts that I'm talking about are becoming a problem because they're not assimilating those demographic shifts. So we have a populace that's collapsing. They're not interested in partaking in society anymore. They're very like much emo in that direction of like, yeah, like that's why I said black pilled Phil again, because they're all very much black pilled, which is part of the reason they're not having kids. And then you bring in a demographic that thinks completely counter to you, and then they start getting into seats of power. And then all of a sudden, your society is completely different. It looks more like the society that those people came from. Because, like, I think it was Maine, a town in Maine recently elected a mayor who was from Somalia. And in her first speech, she's talking about, like, what the town in Maine is going to do to go help Somalia. And I'm like, what? Like, one, I don't know how the fuck she got elected. But two, like, you're supposed to be running a town in Maine. You're not a senator. You're not something like that where you could affect international politics at all. But she's on camera giving a speech about how they're going to do things to help her brothers and sisters in Somalia. And I'm like, what the fuck? But this is like where we're headed to, where we're going to have people that don't integrate and don't assimilate, and they're going to become the ones governing the country. And then you couple with that a lot of disgruntled people who are fed up with the system. I think we're going to have a lot of like clashes and skirmishes as the economy falls out too. Because here's the thing, and I agree with watching it from watching Asmongold, because I'm completely on board. I'm here for the chaos. Whether you like him or hate him, Trump is a disruptor to the system. We all know that Democrats and Republicans running the government for a long time were basically two sides of the same coin. They might be like, oh, yeah, I feel this thing and I feel that thing. But then behind closed doors, they're all moving it towards the same point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's all the famous thing of like, oh, yeah, we all disagree. But then, like, yeah, you guys disagree in theater of like, oh, well, I'm really owning the left and I'm really owning the right. So then I get elected again. And then as soon as the cameras go off, you're shaking hands, having drinks, and going out and laughing at all the fucking suckers that voted for both of you. Like that's how it's gone for a very long time. So like it or not, and you don't have to like what he's doing, but he's a disruptor to the system, and he's pulling back on what the system is like gearing us towards, which is like you'll live in the pod, eat the bugs, and own nothing. That's a World Economic Forum thing. They've said that. They said that's the future. You're going to be happy and live in the pod, eat the bugs, and own nothing, and you'll be happy. And I'm like, maybe the people at the top will be happy. I don't know how happy we'll be about that unless they get full dive VR and we're just like plugged into the Matrix. Then I might be happy.
That'll be good then. Yeah.
Then I might not complain, but this is the thing, and this has always been the thing. The ruling class thinks that everybody below them is dumb. And if you don't think that's true, talk to anybody that you know that's got a lot of money and ask them what they think about an average person, and you will be disgusted by the way they talk about it. They will talk about it. These people, like some people talk about their pets. They're like, oh yeah, I just need to, if only what was it? I think it was Bloomberg. Fucking was the one that talked about he wanted to increase the tax on the poor, because they misspend their money anyway, so it would be better to take their money and then spend it for them.
Jeez,
dude, this is how those people think, because you get to a certain level of money and you falsely assume, by the way, that you're smarter than everyone else because you got that money. There's a lot of dumb fucking people that get a lot of money. You don't have to be smart. You just take advantage and leverage smart people to get to that point. And the worst ones are the children of the smart people who came into money because their parents had money. And the people that accumulated that wealth, those no-name families that, we don't talk about, like the Rothschilds and shit like that, the ones that own the international banks, their children, to some degree, were taught how that system works and how to manipulate it. But as it goes on, it's like playing telephone. And so if your great-great-great-great-granddad was a master carpenter and he keeps teaching down the generations, well, eventually some of that goes away because some of that was just the raw skill and talent of your great-great-great-great-grandfather. And now you're a carpenter and you're making crooked tables. Like, it's not your fault. It's how you taught, and maybe you don't have the skill. But these people are like, yeah, I made the greatest table ever because I've been doing this for generations, and fuck these people that say my table sucks. They're just stupid. And if I took away their ability to make tables, then they wouldn't complain about my table. That's it's a shitty example, but that's how they think, and that's what these people are moving towards. So I'm really concerned because I don't see that kind of disruption on either side of the aisle anymore. That once Trump is out of office, that we will go right back to the trajectory that we were headed towards, which is completely killing the middle class, completely getting rid of home ownership and your ability to really own anything, putting basically a serf class to the U.S. and then the top elites that control everything else. And I'm not here for the whole communist socialist thing, but we started putting too many regulations and rules into place that protect the ultra wealthy and their companies, and completely killed the ability for small guys to make new businesses and grow. It still happens every once in a while, but and with that was the whole payment processor thing, which thank God Trump came in this week and he put in an executive order which basically said you can't debank people for their views. Basically, he said you can only deny people banking access and access to money on the basis of financial reasons. So basically, like if you come with an idea and the bank goes, yeah, that's not going to make us money, we're going to lose money, you can be denied. But you can't say, yeah, I made this thing and it's completely legal. We won't process other people's payments to buy that thing from you because we don't like the way that you do things. It was meant to protect against that shit that happened like in Canada, where remember when the truckers protest?
No.
Oh.
Remember who you're talking to?
Well, the truckers were protesting in Canada because they were pissed off about the taxes and the things going on in Canada. So they went into the different Canadian cities, and they stopped delivering goods, but they started blocking the streets.
Like with the trucks?
Yeah. And to allow this to happen, what they did was they got a GoFundMe. And people were sending them money so that they were able to, stay out there and do that because, they need to make money to make a livelihood. Yeah. And what Canada did was Canada went in and said, well, that's not okay. And they took all their money.
Like they blocked the GoFundMe?
Well, not just they blocked the GoFundMe. They then debanked the truckers themselves. And they weren't allowed to bank in Canada.
What?
They said as long as you continue to do this, you won't have access to the banks anymore.
Wow.
And like it or not, people, it's a business, but banking right now is no different than a utility. And the funny thing is, you might have a certain view, and that view does not prevent you from getting power, from accessing the internet, doing any of those things. But the bank can be like, oh, we don't like your view. And we're not going to do business with you anymore. And other content creators in the past have been debanked. So Trump put in an executive order that basically said, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Only if they're doing something illegal, or if you've assessed the financial risk and you say, this is a risk financially, we won't allow it to happen. So while he did it for that, this is now also, because it goes into effect in 180 days, this is also going to affect that whole censorship thing that just happened recently on Steam and itch.io. They're going to be allowed to put that content back up because the banks, if they want to operate in the U.S. and the payment processors as well, they will not be allowed to deplatform them just because they host content that they don't like. As long as the content is completely legal within the letter of the law, which it is, they won't be able to deny them business, or they will get severely fined by the FDC, and they may not allowed to be able to operate in the country anymore. So Visa and MasterCard for sure want to handle payments inside of the U.S. So they will immediately retract anything that they did that way and be like, yeah, no, only go back to if it's risky financially, or if we fucking or if we deem it to be illegal. You can no longer use reputation as a reason for not providing financial services. They're like, this will damage us reputationally. Why? Because you processed a payment for a video game? Nobody goes, oh yeah, like, dude, Visa's totally on board with this. Like, what are you, stupid? That's so dumb. If anything, they're gonna think the site hosting it is on board with it. Like, nobody's gonna lodge their complaints at Visa. They're gonna lodge their complaints at Steam. And the whole reason this thing happened before anyway.
People forget that Visa and MasterCard like are an actual business part of the process of transferring money.
Yeah.
I've got my card, I plug it in the machine, I get my money. That's it. End of story.
Yeah, people don't think about that. But the whole reason why Collective Shout went after Visa and MasterCard anyway is because they complained directly to Steam. And Steam said,
fuck off.
Yeah, it doesn't violate TOS, so we don't give a fuck. And they're like, yes, but it's not appropriate. And they're like, yeah, but it's not illegal and it's art, so go fuck yourself. Which is honestly based on Steam's part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gabe's a G.
Yeah. Did you see his rant the other day, by the way?
I thought that was AI.
Yeah, it's not.
I swore up and down when I was watching that was AI.
It's not.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, they're like people think we're a video game manufacturer. We're not.
He went off the fucking cliff.
Yeah, he said the quiet part out loud. He's like, yeah, we made the fucking the Valve Index just to fuck with fucking Meta. Made the Steam Deck just to go fuck with Nintendo. He's like, because they've operated freely into space for too long, and so we just created the greatest fucking Nintendo piracy device of all time. Dude, for sure he's gonna get sued by Nintendo after that, but I don't think he fucking cares because they're not in in Japan, and Nintendo doesn't host any games on their platform anyway. So they're like, what do we care? Yeah, fucking wild, man.
What an absolute G.
Yeah, he's like, I put 100 hours of Mario Sunshine on my Steam Deck and I haven't bought it yet. That one you might get into a little trouble for, but
maybe not. I don't know.
They'd have to prove it.
Yeah, they'd have to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and how would they prove it?
Yep. They're gonna commandeer a Steam Deck.
I don't know, dude. But yeah, like that's what we need. We need more disruptors like that in society, and even to a certain degree, like disruptors like the CEO of Arizona Iced Tea. That's like, that should stay at $1.
Yeah, we make enough money.
Yeah, and what I learned, the whole history of Arizona Iced Tea, like those guys are even more gangster. There's a guy on YouTube that I watch. Hold on, I'm gonna go look it up real quick because I want to get his name right because I want to shout him out because the shit that he does is fucking hilarious, and he does like great videos like explaining the history of different companies. Not the guy that sits there and tells you the bad shit that companies do, but he tells you the cool like shit of like the history. Yes.
What's his name?
I'm pretty sure this is the guy. Let me just hear the voice. Yeah, that's the right voice. Okay. The name of the channel is The Fat Files on YouTube.
I don't know if I've heard of him.
Shout out to that guy. I highly recommend if you haven't watched him to watch him. He's a fucking G, and he goes over like the history of like different like gangster like companies like in I think it's mostly the US, but sometimes like around the world as well. But like he went into like the history of Arizona Iced Tea, and Arizona Iced Tea started out as a fucking alcohol company. So before they started making Arizona Iced Tea, they were making beer. and they had a crazy beer. It was like something midnight. It was like Midnight Dragon, I think is what the beer was called. And so like he was advertising for like the Midnight Dragon in the 80s, and it was it's they're like, what sells? And it's like, oh yeah, like hot models with beer. And they had an ad for the Midnight Dragon. Yeah, that's what it's called, Midnight Dragon. This is the ad. They had the supermodel with a 40 with a straw in it, and the ad just said, "I could suck on this all night." So like they had a pretty successful beer company, and then they're distributing their beer and everything, and the Snapple hits the scene. And so, like, they see that fucking Snapple is selling, like, iced tea even in the middle of the winter. They're like, who the fuck's buying iced tea in the middle of the winter? And he's like, man, they really like the Snapple shit. So because of that, he wanted to create a business to compete with it, because he's like, oh, well, if they're buying, it's got to be pretty good. So he was like, well, I can't really, like, sell like sex to kids. That doesn't really work. Like, you can't use that same business model. And he's like, well, what can I do? He's like, I can make the can really big. And so like so he made the can really big, and then made the price like really cheap, and had like a good logo. And he started competing and outwinning with Snapple, because it's the size bias. You think you're getting more bang for your buck. It's the same thing. That's what Monster did to compete with Red Bull.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna make a big fuck off can, and then you're gonna think like you're getting more.
Yeah, same caffeine content, but twice the liquid.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they started off like that. But again, they have been charging the same price for their iced tea since the 90s. And I think, like, look up, like, what $1 in 1994 would be worth today.
All right.
To see what they should be charging for it. $20.24. We're in 2025.
Yeah, but they're not going to have that stat, probably. Usually they do that shit. So $1 in 1994 is worth $2.17 today. Basically,
no way.
Basically twice.
Is it really? It's got to be more than that. No?
No, sounds about right.
Okay.
20 years? Yeah, it's not crazy.
You sure?
I'm sorry, 30 years? Yeah.
This is in 2013 dollars.com. I don't know if I trust that. Go down. Another source needed.
Down to what?
Inflation calculator. There you go.
Yeah, not 1913. 1994. $1.
Yeah, there you
Calculate. Go. Yeah, 217.
Okay. All right.
See? I can read.
You. But okay, so 100% increase. But so he should be charging at least $2 to $3 for it now. But it's like, nah, fuck it, I'm keeping it $1. And not only are they keeping it $1, they're so gangster that they have a hotline that if you go to a gas station or something like that and you see them marking it up like higher than that, you could call them and report them. and they will come.
That I did not know.
Yeah, they'll come and like either sue them or they'll stop distributing to that place, because it's like, fuck you. It's 99 cents. It says it on the goddamn can. And sometimes they go on sale for like 49 cents still. Like, it's fucking wild. But they're doing fine. And they pay their employees like very, very fucking well. And so like we need more disruptors like that too, that do the right thing of like, okay, maybe I don't need $1 billion and I can reinvest it in the people that fucking work for me. Because I'm all about people making money. Don't get me wrong. I wish I could make a shit ton of money. But, like, if we got to the point where, like, we made a fuck ton of money like that off of this and we lived comfortable, I would at a certain point, because I don't want to fucking, well, I don't know. You might enjoy editing it still at that point. I would want to hire a team of people at that point.
If we get to a point where we get staff to assist, pay the staff well.
Yeah, pay them really well.
If you can't afford to pay the staff well, then we don't get the staff yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're talking to the point, guys, that like in the future, I'd love it. I doubt it, but I'd love it. If we're making a couple million a year off this fucking podcast and
Yeah.
we're banking like that, fucking dude, I'd pay the staff we're working for like $250,000. Like, you guys help us make this content good, promote it, and fucking everybody will live comfortably.
Yeah.
And then even then, like once we got enough stacked up in the back end where I'm like, okay, neither one of us would have to work again at any point, then I would probably just take everything and roll the stuff into to the equipment for the business, and then everything left, just like fucking we take a salary equal to the other people working with us. And just like, okay, well, we've got back end like generational wealth that we don't have to worry about now, and then just split that shit evenly. One of the top rated companies to work for, I think, in the U.S. is this oil company in Texas, where literally every employee from the janitor to the fucking CEO get paid the same.
Wow.
And they routinely pay out bonuses of like $50,000, shit like that.
Holy shit.
And not only is it one of the best workplaces, but people that like go in there that are toxic are like fucking weeded out immediately because they're like, no, we like literally all do the same work here and fucking bust our ass because at the end of the year we get paid. And if you don't want to do that, get the fuck out. But that's what happens when you pay people well and pay them like accordingly. Like, and again, I hate all the fucking people that are like, that's anti-capitalist. No, that is like 100% pro-capitalist. What's not capitalist is this fucking bullshit system that we're in now that for whatever reason it's like your money is my money and my money is my money and go fuck yourself, like with the shareholders. That like, oh no, you guys made money this year, you can't pay your people well, you gotta pay that back out to us. Why? You didn't make the fucking money, we did. And again, I talked about it before. That goes all the way back to Dodge v. Ford, the fucking Supreme Court case, because the fucking Dodge brothers invested in Ford, their competitor. And when Ford was like, yeah, I want to fucking invest back into the community and pay all my workers a bonus and pay them more, they were like, no, that's our money. And he was like, what? He's like, they're like, yeah. That's the shareholder money. You can't fucking decide what to do with that. You have to pay that back out to us, not to them. And the Supreme Court fucking sided with them. Their direct fucking competitor who invested in them. You know how fucking insane that is? But that set the precedent from then on that the fiduciary responsibility is not to the community and to the employees of the company. It's to the shareholders. That's why as soon as a company goes public, it goes to shit. Because they don't care about anything to do with the employees or the work or the quality of the product anymore. It's about how to maximize profits for the shareholders in the stock market. That's why when Elon bought Twitter, he took it private, because as soon as he took it private, he could do whatever the fuck he wants with it, and nobody could say a goddamn thing about it. Yes, he has investors that he has to answer to, but it's way easier to answer to one or two investors than it is thousands of shareholders that could sue you for no goddamn reason, like the one that sued him in Delaware, the guy that owned one stock, one share of Tesla, and sued the motherfucker because of that bonus that he got paid out, and then crashed the fucking Tesla stock because of it. Because he sued him and he took the money back, because one, it created uncertainty, and two, like it was manipulating documents to look like Elon hadn't really made the money that he was like trying to make, or the target. And like, yeah, he did set too soft of a target. This company's going nowhere, and people sold like wild. So if I was the other Tesla shareholders, I'd sue the shit out of that guy for everything he had, and be like, you cost me a fortune. Go fuck yourself. Well, it really fucked Delaware over, because now people aren't incorporating in Delaware anymore, because Delaware set a precedent of, yeah, if you get paid a bonus, we'll take your fucking money back. And they're like, yeah, we're not gonna headquarters here anymore. So like similar to the same thing in New York with the case there against Trump, where they found him guilty of fraud because he was like, oh yeah, I want to get a loan for $500 million, and I'm gonna certify the loan collateral based off of my property, and say that the property is actually worth this. And New York was like, well, you committed fraud, because when they did the tax assessment, it said your property was only worth $18 million, and you said it was worth like $500 million. And every real estate investor in New York was like, and New York's like, no, it's just for this. Please don't stop doing business here. And they were like, yeah, but now you've set precedent. And the precedent is if you don't sell property or value property at what the fucking tax evaluation is, then you're committing fraud. And that's not true at all. That's not how that works. Uh-huh. I think the fucking the taxes here, the property tax is based off of, I think that the last assessment said, I want to say it valued the house here at like $250K, but the market value of the house right now is I think it's $440K is what it is. This house ain't worth $440K, but that's what the market evaluation is. So if I went to go get a loan, you can leverage that as equity in your home to get the capital to make the loan. And that's what Trump did with his properties. And the banks weren't upset. The banks didn't sue him. The banks were like, he used it. He made money. We made money. Everyone's happy. Yeah. Nobody was fucking screwed over. The state of New York sued him.
Wow.
And it's like, but no one was, nobody was hurt in this. And they're like, well, the state of New York was hurt because you committed fraud. And so since you were defrauding the government, through a private loan, which doesn't defraud the government at all, we're gonna take you to court. But you know that's how that shit works. There's the property tax assessment in your municipalities, which is how much you owe, which is what the asset, which was what the government says the property is worth, and then there's the market value, which is completely different. You're like, I have this good. How much do you want to pay for it? Oh, I'll pay you this. Oh, I'll pay you that. It's like going to auction. You know, like, yeah, the thing might be only worth $30 in value. You go to an auction and somebody pays you $300 for it. It's not fraud. He was outbidding the other people because he really wanted it. like, is it fraud if I get a rare Pokemon card and get it graded and I sell it for $5,000 when I only paid $5 for it? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Nope.
No, it's what people want to pay for it because things are only worth as much as people are willing to pay for them.
Yeah, I hear the Pokemon card market right now is fucking crazy.
People are insane with that, and I really hate it because back in the day I was such a dumb fuck young kid with that shit, and I remember I got all upset about it because I'm just stupid and I didn't realize. But I wish, you know, I would always take that time travel deal of go back to your younger self with the knowledge you have now. Because one of the first Pokemon packs that I had back in the day when the first Pokemon cards were coming out, I got a holographic Charizard out of it. And that shit today, if I had kept that and kept that...
Mine was beat up, but I had one.
If I had kept it and kept it in mint condition, that would be like $1 million card. Because it was the first editions.
Yeah, I gave all my Pokemon cards away. I don't know if he still has them or not.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of that stuff. I know my old man has a coin collection that one day when he passes, I'm hopefully gonna take that. But you know, the coins I understand a little bit more, and it's a little bit easier to understand the value of something like that. But who knew that the Pokemon cards were gonna like stay and become such a big thing?
There's cards for everything. Some of them blow up, some of them don't. It's hard. It's impossible to.
Yeah, because the Yu-Gi-Oh cards,
which ones are gonna be.
Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh cards have like no value. The Magic the Gathering cards have a shit ton of value.
Some of them.
The ones that are important for tournaments and whatnot. But that's the thing with Magic the Gathering, which is wild. As soon as a card gets banned in a tournament, the value crashes to nothing. Mm-hmm. So they had these.
I mean, some of the rare ones are still worth a lot.
The ones that get banned usually aren't.
Well, like the you can't play Black Lotus in tournament, and those are still worth thousands of dollars.
Sometimes, but they were worth a lot more when they were playable in tournaments.
That was a long fucking time ago. They banned Black Lotus a long time ago. They're still worth a ton.
Yeah. Certain things hold value like that, but a lot of them are like really subject to like whether they're playable or not. But the Pokemon ones have none of that. Nobody gives a fuck about Pokemon tournaments. Nobody's even playing Pokemon tournaments for the most part. There are some, but like it's just all the aesthetics of it and like how much people really want them.
I saw a short the other day about the fucking Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and that they had to make a hygiene code because they had the one card where you had to shake hands with people, so people were just like fucking stinking themselves up.
Yeah, they were making themselves as disgusting as possible so that you wouldn't do it, and then you'd forfeit the game because if you didn't do the action, you had to forfeit.
Fucking crazy.
Which that's fine. I would counter that, which I would just show up with fucking surgical gloves. But like, okay, I'm wearing these gloves now, and they'd be like, you can't wear those gloves. I'm like, I'm wearing it to protecting handling the card. Prove otherwise. Like, no, we got to shake. It doesn't say on there bearskin to bearskin, you psycho. Yeah, fucking people are nuts. They find a way to game it, like everything. You don't have to go there showing up like a nasty-ass motherfucker. All you have to do is, like, right before that goes down, just take your hand and put down your crack. And then, like, pull the whole fucking Mallrats thing. Here's the chocolate handshake.
That and I love when people go to cons with signs. It's like, if you can afford to go to a con, you can afford deodorant.
Some people are just, like, unaware of their own, like, BO. Because you just become nose blind to it after a while. Like, I keep having to ask people when they hop in my car now, does, like, it still smell nice in the car? Because I'm nose blind to that air freshener now. I can't, like, unless I'm, like, got it, like, really up in my face, I can't smell that pine smell in my car. I know it still smells like pine in my car, but I, like, my brain has now tuned it out. My brain's like, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wonder, like, because, like, back in the day, they would just, like, take their buckets of shit and, like, throw it out the window and, like, that kind of stuff. And so, like, everywhere just smelled terrible. And I wonder, like, if we went back in time, how long would it take for us to get used to the fucking smell?
Very quickly. It's like when you go out to farm country and you smell that manure smell for, like, the first day or two, and then suddenly, like, the smell goes away. Because your brain just goes, yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to this disgusting smell anymore because I'm tired of, like, the sensory overload from it. It's a weird thing that, like, people do that.
Mm-hmm.
It might, like, I don't know. It's weird because with using deodorant anyway, there is, like, some things that we lose in our olfactory senses because there are, like, attraction things that are based off of, like, the smell that people produce. Yeah. But BO is 100% a thing. Unless you're Asian. then there's a highly likely chance it's not a thing. You know, like, deodorant's not a thing in Japan, right?
If you say so.
No, you could look it up. They lack the gene that makes their sweat make that smell. So they don't have deodorant because the majority of them naturally don't produce the gene that makes their sweat smell. That's where that BO comes from. It's your sweat. It's not like...
No, I'm aware of that bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, look it up. Why are you looking at me like I'm crazy? Like, that's a thing. Like, it
seems like something I shouldn't be looking up.
What? That the Japanese don't have the gene that makes BO?
Yeah.
Why? Not the character.
Generally less. Yeah.
Yeah, see? A genetic variation affecting the sweat glands.
Okay.
You think I'm full of shit. They're not the French. The French created deodorant, they just don't wear it. Or not deodorant, they created perfume because they don't like wearing deodorant. It's so funny, when I went over there, like, Europe, everybody talks about how much the French people stink. Because they just refuse to use deodorant.
Oh, do toilet.
Yeah. They also jokingly say that they refuse to shower, too. I don't know how much that one's true. But who the fuck knows? But yeah, you thought it was full of shit. Deodorant's not really much of a thing over there in Japan.
Okay.
Like they might have, like... What's going on?
I don't know why that popped up. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Stop fucking up all our audio stuff today.
Audio's fine.
But yeah, so
What?
I don't know. I forgot where I was going with all this deodorant tangent bullshit.
Me too.
It's okay. Society's collapsing. I'm here for the ride. Dude, and in terms of population collapse and societal collapse anyway, there's a lot of people that have done studies on this, and they basically say once the age of first-time marriage passes 28, which I think we're up to 31 or 32 now, they say you're fucked. Yeah. You're just fucked societally. Because it means that the likelihood that you're going to have 2 kids to replace you is like less than 50%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because
2 people need 2 kids to replace them.
Yeah. Like I think technically the replacement level is like 1.8, but really, ideally, it's 2. You should have 2 kids to replace the 2 of you, and then everything stays, pretty much even.
Yeah.
And then if you have more than that, your society grows. If you have less, the society shrinks. But I think we're at like 1.6. You can look that up.
No more nuclear family, eh?
Well, yeah. Come on, not Jamie. You Google eyes faster. Yeah. Oh, see, I was right. 1.6.
Look at that you and your brain.
Ooh, Canada's not looking hot. 1.26.
Yeah, and Japan's having a crisis with it too. Yeah.
The worst is Korea. Look up South Korea's birth rate.
Really?
It's the worst in like the modernized world. You also spell birth with 2 eyes.
Yeah, that's a problem with my keyboard right now. When I hit my eyes, it shows up twice. I don't know fucking know why. Ooh, South Korea is less than 1.
0.72, bro. North Korea played the long game. South Korea is just not going to be a country in about 10 years because there's fucking nobody. Dude.
That's crazy.
That is wild. Wild.
Yeah, I don't know why the I on my keyboard like double types. It's really annoying.
And you could tell how you could tell how bad that is by look up what the median age is in South Korea right now.
Why is it high?
I would assume it would be high with that birth rate.
45.
They are fucking cooked. By contrast, look up what it is here in the USA.
38.
They are so fucked, dude. That means the majority of the people in South Korea are old and elderly right now. So their bottom end of their population is just collapsed fully.
Jeez.
Again, give it another 20 years, there won't be a South Korea. It'll just be Korea again, because North Korea will just like walk over and be like, there's nobody here now. This is our shit now. It's funny because I think North Korea has a higher birth rate than South Korea.
How would we know?
Look it up. Look it up. The numbers out of North Korea would be a grain of salt, but not the president age. not their average age, just the birth rate. I'd believe it.
1.78?
Yeah, I'd believe it. Because I don't think birth control is a thing in North Korea. But yeah, North Korea's having like fucking 3 times the amount of kids as South Korea. Eventually, they'll just be like, yeah, there's nobody here anymore. We're just gonna take that land. That's ours now. It's fucking
South
wild,
Korea's
man.
Be asking for immigrants, huh?
No, they don't have that much immigration. But again, they're going to be the first of the modernized countries that their population just completely collapses. And right now, it's very much we live in a very much Euro-Asian, USA-centered world. And we are transitioning into what's going to be a more Africanized, Indianized central world, because the African populations are going through that boom in population that we had with the baby boomers now, because a lot of those areas, because they were underdeveloped and didn't have access to a lot of the medicine that we do now, they had a lot of kids dying. And the same thing that happened with us. When you have a lot of kids dying, you have a lot of kids to make up for it. You have 10 kids, 8 of them die, you still walk away with 2. That's how it works. But once you get the medicine that stops that, you still have a cultural push to having a lot of kids. So now you have 10 kids, and the fucking 10 kids live. So your population booms. Eventually, like, it shrinks back down naturally, because when you realize, like, oh yeah, my fucking army of kids is going to live to adulthood now, you start going, well, I don't need 10 anymore, let's have 3. And then it, like, stabilizes. But those countries now, their populations are on the upswing. So if we continue on the downward trend, give it about 20, 30 years, they're going to be the dominant powers in the world. Probably. I don't know. We'll have to see. I like to speculate on these things. I got too much fucking ideas going on in my head, dude. Like, this has just been an hour rant of the fucking weirdness that goes on in my head. These are my weekly therapy sessions, in case people haven't fucking, like, realized.
Change the name of the podcast, Phil's Therapy Sessions.
Maybe you get more views. It might confuse me with Dr. Phil. Like, oh, Dr. Phil made a podcast, huh? No. Just some random dude in New Jersey spouting nonsense into a microphone. That's why we're informed and oblivious. I'm informed, but also oblivious. And you're just oblivious, but it's fine.
Rude.
Semi-accurate.
Yeah, I didn't say it was wrong.
You're not oblivious to all things. You know, we should mix it up again, and next week do an episode where you choose the topic again.
You gonna make me think again?
Yeah, come on, man. I like talking about the stuff that you're into too from time to time. That's nice.
All right, I'll figure something out.
Yeah, you want to do that next week? I'm down for it.
All right.
Yeah. Think of something.
I'll put my thinking cap on.
Because it's nice, because if we talk about what you're into, it switches away from the doom and gloom constantly. And I feel like, if anything, we'd rename this the Doom and Gloom podcast.
Doom and gloom up in your room?
Yeah, we might get a key viewership from that. It'd be very, like, emo-centric. But I'm all right with that. I would love to, like... If we got that kind of, like, cohort following us, and we, like, did, like, a meet and greet and it's nothing but a bunch of emo kids, that shit would be lit.
If eventually it blows up, we'll just have to separate it into, like, multiple categories of podcast.
Dude, it's all over the place. The
Informed and Oblivious presents Doom and Gloom.
Yeah, the problem is right now, because the summertime, it's just hot, and I've been doing things. I don't listen to as much podcast during this time, because people aren't doing as much interesting things at this time. But come the winter, that's when shit explodes, because you got nothing else to do but sit inside and listen to shit. And I listen to a lot of random weird shit. And certain subjects I'd love to talk on, but I don't want the smoke. I just really don't. I don't have a limit to things that I'll discuss and talk about, but I know the things that are taboo and we shouldn't talk about, so I won't talk about them.
What are those things?
I'd really love to...
I'll bleep it.
No. You don't have to bleep it. I'd really love to do a podcast and delve into the whole manosphere thing and the whole feminism thing, but those topics are very taboo. And as soon as you get labeled as one of those type fucking people, like, you just get fucking boxed on the internet. And I'm like, I find the stuff interesting, but I don't care about it enough.
Plus, you'd be a terrible boxer.
To just get, like, I would. I would 100%. I feel like I have a weak jaw. But fucking...
we know I have a weak jaw.
Yeah. Well, you got a weak orbital socket, but that's a little bit different. But... Maybe we talk about that story one day, because that shit was wild. What do you mean, man? You don't even remember it. It's fine. But fucking motherfucker. But yeah, like, certain subjects like that, I'd love to discuss the things and play out those ideas, because I think anything pertaining to any part of society and culture and the different struggles of different people inside of society are very interesting. but you get boxed into a hole on the internet and you get very angry people. And I'd like to stay away from the topics that like get really radicalized people involved, because again, I come from a place where I understand people have different ideas to mine, and I can accept that they have different ideas. And I'd like to understand where these different ideas come from. I really do. You may not change my thought at all, but I find it interesting to understand, like, oh, this is why you believe the thing that you believe. That's cool. I can understand that. I can relate. But it has been my experience, especially, you know, in the past when I've talked to people about religion and stuff, so I know these other topics go the same way. Many people don't come into things open-minded at all, because they can't understand that, like, there are other people in the world with different independent thoughts, and everybody might feel like the main character, but none of us are the main character. We're all part of this big glob together. You know, that's how everything works. And
there's only one main character, and it's the giant spaghetti monster in the sky.
Exactly. Yeah, whichever one that you think that might be. But because like there's a guy that became very popular with that because he kind of dances to Edge. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel Homath?
Maybe.
He does all the like funny drawings, like explaining like the relationship dynamics between like men and women, because he's like, the shit's gotten very confusing, and I'm gonna explain it in easy to like go over charts as like, this is why you don't have success in like different areas. The guy's super funny. He's somehow managed to remain anonymous on the internet, which is a wild feat. But his YouTube channel is decently popular. But he talks about like controversial things. But because of that, he gets a lot of hate, and he's also boxed into like a certain corner of the internet where like a lot of the channels that discuss things like that, they don't get past that size. And again, love him or hate him, I would really love if one day we got to the thing like how Joe Rogan is. I would love to have just like interesting people come on the podcast and we talk to them.
That'd be cool as hell.
Because I love stimulating things like that and just picking people's brains. And like I would love to have fucking 3-hour conversations where my mind's just blown from the shit that people are telling me.
Yeah, if we could one day get into the similar realm to Joe Rogan or Bad Friends podcast or that sort of shit, that'd be great. Yeah,
I just want to talk to random people and get their experience. Because like right now it's just a lot of the bullshit that I just like view online, and like maybe people are interested in that. But like I'd love to just like talk to random people. That's even like one day, like, you know, if we could get some of our friends or whatnot in here and talk to them, like I'd love to get other people's views on shit. Be like, what do you guys want to talk about? What's your biggest like issue in life right now? Let's dive into it. I don't know. That's where I want to go one day. This podcast has been like fucking all over the place today.
Yeah, it's also a long one. So on that note, let's dive out of it.
Well, yeah, but that's got the behind the scenes stuff in it too, right? It's not that long.
Yeah, it's got the preamble, but I mean, it's an hour and 20 minutes probably.
No.
Yeah, no, for real.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I went on a weird rant.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, as I said in the the behind the scenes portion, that song doesn't usually last 30 minutes. It got into a serious groove, and then I forgot how it ended. So on that note, we will end it. So again, as always, folks, if you made it here to the end, if you like what we do, which good on you if you do, because I feel like a crazy person today.
Seems like nobody does yet, but maybe you'll be the one.
Hey, we've got 8 subscribers. I'm proud of all 8 of those subscribers. I got
appreciate you folks.
Yeah, Chocolate Daddy sold 10 records. Proud of every single one of those records. So if you made it here to the end, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Drop a like. Follow, leave a comment, let us know what you do or don't like. If you got ideas for future podcasts, let us know. I'm happy to talk about anything
you want to hear us talk about, for sure.
Yeah. Leave us a message. We'll talk about anything. I don't really care. And I've got so much bullshit up in my brain, I'm sure we could talk about it. And again, as always, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, and now on TikTok as well. We do have a TikTok channel.
Hopefully that'll get some traction.
Yeah. Do we have the link in the YouTube for that?
No, it's a good point. I'll add that.
Yeah. We'll link it, folks. We'll link it so you can find it. So the shorts are up on the YouTube, but they're also going to be up on the TikTok too. So if you enjoy the short form content
on the TikTok,
on the TikTok, dude. If you enjoy the short form content, go over to the TikTok there, follow us, and leave a like. That's going to be exclusively all the short form content that we do.
I don't think TikTok has long form, do they?
I think they tried it for a second. But like it didn't work out, so I think still the longest thing you could do is like 3 minutes. Yeah. But get us enough followers over there and over here, and maybe we'll go live one day. Who knows? All right, folks. We'll see you next week.
Deuces.
Peace.